こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、リバプールの遠藤航に関する動画です。リバプールはプレミアリーグで他のチームより1試合多い29試合を終了し、残り9試合の段階で、1試合少ないアーセナルに勝ち点15の差をつけてリーグ優勝までのカウントダウンが始まったように見えます。今回はチェルシーファンであるロリー・ジェニングスのチャンネルから、リバプールが優勝した理由としてベストな中盤を持っているからと話し、カーティス・ジョーンズと遠藤航も含めた5人の中盤を称賛しています。まだ優勝が決まっているわけではないものの、もう決まったかのように話していますが、実際にどのように話しているのか、チェックしてみましょ
う。Now, as an away fan, I've been to Anfield more often than I've been to any other ground in the country, and I can guarantee you this: Anfield is the best atmosphere in the entire country. When Anfield is at its loudest and most impassioned, there is nothing quite like it. And anyone that's about my age, that supports Chelsea or Liverpool, that was going to football when our rivalry was at its fiercest, will have a few songs that the Kop used to sing burned into our brains. Now, I'm serious here. Some of the best moments of my entire life happened at Anfield. Cast your minds back to Solomon Kalou whipping the ball in front of the Kop and John Arne-Riise getting up above everybody and heading it into his own net. The joy, the unbridled release of emotion, the spontaneous eruption from that away end was quite unlike anything that I have ever felt in my entire life. But simultaneously, when Dirk Kuyt scored that goal, I'm not sure I have ever felt pain in a football stadium like it. Genuinely, I was in Moscow and this was worse. Luis Garcia, Fernando Torres in that game just before he signed for us. But then equally, Branislav Ivanovic scoring those 2 goals in front of the Kop to put us 3-1 up and basically through in Europe. As a stadium, it is a stadium that has contributed to a kaleidoscope of emotions. And all of these moments that I can remember so vividly are accompanied by a backdrop of creative, ear-piercing tribal songs bellowing out from the Kop. That era, it's synonymous with a few things. One of them being the song that they used to sing for Fernando Torres, the entire Kop going. You know the one. His armband proved he was a red Torres. You got to sing it in that accent. You never walk alone. You said Torres. We walk the left, was always going, giving the ball, he scores again. Fernando Torres, Liverpool number 9. And then bang, the whole end would vibrate. It would bounce in unison. It was impressive. The other one that is totally relevant to the video that I'm making here. You know, Chelsea FC. You ain't got no history. 5 European Cups and 18 League. Not that one either. Not that one. The one about the midfield. That's right. During this era, Liverpool fans, rightly or wrongly, used to sing this song about their midfield. They would project that they had the best midfield in the world. They used to go, we got the best midfield in the world. We got Xavi Alonso, Mohamed Sissoko, Gerrard and Mascherano. And then on and on and on it would go. Now, first and foremost, before we go any further, it's important to establish that that was incorrect. It totally wasn't true. And if you don't believe me, ask Michael Essien, ask Frank Lampard. It was a totally inaccurate song that was being sung on the Kop. However, it might be correct today. Just think about it. Think about the personnel. Think about the jobs that have been done by that Liverpool engine room. Ryan Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Curtis Jones, and obviously not forgetting Endo. That midfield is the genesis. It's the building block of everything that Liverpool were trying to achieve this season. And I think, generally speaking, that we appreciate quite how well Liverpool have done. You know, I think it's fair to say that Liverpool have been perfect. And that's why we got to the end of February and they had already won the league. The ownership, perfect. The manager, perfect. The players, perfect. The superstars within the squad, perfect. And I think that most people within football accept that that's true. But if you drill down into it and ask, why did Liverpool win the league? I think most people would suggest that there are 4 reasons why Liverpool won the league. They would say Richard Hughes, Arne Slot, Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. In no particular order, that I think would be the general consensus in terms of 4 reasons as to why Liverpool won the league. Those 4 individuals performed to a level that excelled all levels of expectation, and that is why they won the league. And to a degree, I believe that that theory is true. But I wonder if we're actually ignoring the real reason why Liverpool won the league. The engine room. Now look, we all know that Liverpool have goals galore. We all know that the firepower of Liverpool is what has fired them to the top of the league. Fired them to that chasm between first and second place. But I think it's the midfield that has done it. The midfield has shone when it was most needed, putting in the hard yards, and more recently, scoring the goals when the team most needs it. And what's all the more astonishing is, when you think about how we got here, how did Liverpool end up with the midfield that they have today? Now, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt this video, but could you do me a favour? If you are enjoying this video, will you please give it a like? Really helps me out. And if you're really enjoying it, please click that subscriber button. Again, I would love to welcome you into this community, so please do consider clicking that subscriber button. Sorry for interrupting. And cast your minds back. Do you remember when it looked like Jude Bellingham was going to sign for Liverpool? But Liverpool effectively opted out of signing Bellingham. They decided that they did not want to spend their entire transfer kitty on one player. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's true. Cast your minds back. Do you remember when Liverpool missed out on Mason Mount? I know that feels like a mental sentence, doesn't it? It feels almost surreal. But there was a time when Liverpool desperately wanted to sign Mason Mount, and Mason Mount slipped through their grasp. It felt like a victory for Manchester United. God, that's got to be the very definition of life comes at you quick, hasn't it? Mason Mount was desperately wanted by Liverpool. Wow. Do you remember when it felt like Chelsea pulled the wool over Liverpool's eyes? We got hold of Moises Caicedo then. Almost maliciously, we got hold of Romeo Lavia as well. Liverpool were totally running out of options. They then decided that Martin Zubimendi was going to be their answer, but even that one went wrong. And yet, here we are. Somehow, Liverpool have put together an absolutely unrivaled midfield. And not only have they managed to do that, but they have done it for a pittance in the current market. Just to amplify the point and to demonstrate comparison, Chelsea spent £250 million on two midfielders who are incapable of playing together. Now let's analyse what Liverpool have done. They made full use of clauses in contracts. They were savvy, they were switched on, they demonstrated business nous. And due to the clever manoeuvring of clauses, they signed Alexis McAllister for a mere £35 million. Employing a similar strategy, they signed Dominic Szoboszlai for £60 million. That's McAllister and Szoboszlai for far less than Chelsea paid for Enzo Fernandez. They also signed Ryan Gravenberch for £34 million. Now, this could actually be the jewel in the crown of what Arne Slot has done. The way that he has perfected the craft of Ryan Gravenberch deserves huge recognition. From my understanding of Gravenberch, prior to him being the player that he has been this season, I thought he was a bit part player at Liverpool. I wasn't convinced it was going to work out for him, and I think you could extend that similar courtesy to what happened for him at Bayern Munich. All of a sudden, he has become not only the best player at Liverpool, but one of the best players in his position in the entire world. Totally indispensable to everything that Liverpool do, and has become one of Arne Slot's key men. Now, doesn't that demonstrate the brilliance of Arne Slot, managing your way out of a problem? As fans, I feel like we all have a propensity to constantly go, let's go and sign our way out of trouble. Let's go and buy a player. There's a massive player with a big transfer fee and a huge name and a statement signing is possible. Let's go and splurge the money. Or you can do what Arne Slot has done, which is manage his way out of a problem. Find the answer from within. Look in your squad and reimagine the player. Create the player that you want. Don't necessarily go and buy them. And the way that Arne Slot has remolded, reimagined, redefined Ryan Gravenberch, it is pure poetry. And as I say, he cost 34 million quid. And they also signed Endo for a mere 16 million pounds. Now, the Alexis McAllister signing was also one that needs to be studied because he has turned into such a good player. You know, Arne Slot releasing McAllister from that deep-lying role that he played last season has been rejuvenating for him. It feels like Alexis McAllister has become one of the most complete midfielders in the league, capable of doing a little bit of everything. He pops up with a big goal, excellent in a tackle, totally works his socks off. And there is such a balance to the midfield, isn't there? When you think about Curtis Jones, the control that he brings, I think he's such an Arne Slot player. At various points under Jurgen Klopp, I wasn't convinced that Jones was going to be the man. The way that Jurgen Klopp liked that midfield to operate, the power that he liked that midfield and the pace at which he liked that midfield to play. I wasn't convinced that Curtis Jones was going to be part of it. I wasn't convinced that Curtis Jones' skill set was in keeping with the vision of Jurgen Klopp. But this new approach, this controlled, Dutch, measured football is so perfect for Curtis Jones. And again, everybody can do their bit. Endo. Let's use Endo as a case study as well. You know, he's 32 years old. He's one of the senior statesmen in the squad, but he will never let Liverpool down, and he is most certainly seen as being a finisher. We have a tendency, don't we, to sometimes think that you start your best players. But I think it was Jurgen Klopp who first brought into my realisation that it's not about starting your best players and finishing with your weaker players. It's having players that are good at starting games and having players that are good at finishing games. And Endo is a perfect finisher. And what a statistic this is to demonstrate quite how important Endo is to Liverpool and Liverpool's title challenge. 22 times Endo has come on to play for Liverpool in the Premier League. And within all of those minutes that Endo has accrued on the pitch representing Liverpool, only one player has scored a goal against Liverpool whilst Endo has been on the pitch. Quiz, do you know the answer? Who is it? Who scored against Liverpool the only goal that Liverpool conceded whilst Endo was on the pitch? Do you know? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jacob Greaves, Ipswich. But doesn't that tell you quite what a job he will do? And like I say, he's the older statesman. So now let's think about what Dominic Szoboszlai has done, particularly of late. Liverpool played 5 games in 15 days. 5 huge games in 15 days. Dominic Szoboszlai played all 5 games every single minute. Szoboszlai is the constant, the metronome, the standard, a true, robust and rugged athlete. And it was those 5 games in 15 days where Liverpool cemented their grasp on the Premier League title. And Dominic Szoboszlai was the ever-present. The 2 top distances run by a Liverpool player this season were both Dominic Szoboszlai. One against Tottenham and one against Manchester United. In both of those games, he ran nearly 12 kilometres. Like, that is actually the definition of every blade of grass. You know when we talk about midfielders covering every blade of grass? 12 kilometres in 90 minutes. Quite often, in sudden, hectic bursts. It is an amazing contribution from Dominic Szoboszlai. And it's a midfield that has got better and better as the season has progressed, which bodes so well for Liverpool in their aspirations for winning multiple trophies this season. Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch. Is there a better midfield in Europe at the moment? I don't think there is. And what I'm about to do here is huge, huge praise. But bear with me before you judge it. Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum versus Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. Who do you think wins? Look, I don't know, because I used to think that midfield under Klopp was truly immense. And for Klopp, I think one works, and for Slot, I think the other one works. But for the fun of it, if we're going to say what is a better midfield, Fabinho, the Hoover, the Lighthouse, he gets in any, right? But if you're doing a combined, I think Fabinho gets in any, but then I think it's 2. Oh no, Wijnaldum was wicked. Right, Henderson doesn't make it. Gravenberch is in. Help me in the comments. You're going to have to do this. The other thing that Szoboszlai has done when his team most need it, not only has he been an ever-present, not only has he been relentlessly rugged and up for the challenge, but he's delivered. He has delivered. He has scored the goals that have made a massive difference. Think about that goal against Newcastle United. It was exactly what Liverpool needed. And you also have to bear in mind that he did it a few days earlier against Manchester City. Big goals for a big player having a big season. Now look, I know that Virgil van Dijk is outstanding. I know that Virgil van Dijk is undoubtedly the best defender in the league currently playing. And I know that one of the major reasons why Liverpool have been so flawless this season is the presence and brilliance of Virgil van Dijk. I also know that Mohamed Salah is having the season of his life. And bearing in mind the other seasons that he's had, he is a true great, an icon of the game. In fact, I made a video to this very effect. I'm actually going to put it in the description. I made a video about Mohamed Salah highlighting quite how brilliant I think he is. So please don't think that I'm not acknowledging his contribution to Liverpool's season. But I feel like everybody talks about that. I feel like people are forever acknowledging quite how brilliant Virgil van Dijk has been. I feel like people are acknowledging the contribution of Arne Slot. I feel like everybody is aware that Mohamed Salah is on, and rightly so, for a Ballon d'Or. But I wonder if we are being slightly sneery and not necessarily opening our eyes to the truly historic brilliance of that Liverpool midfield. We would often talk about Jordan Henderson facilitating the opportunity for Trent Alexander-Arnold to be at his dazzling best. We would often say that without Wijnaldum, there is no way that Mane and Firmino could be so good. Fabinho would rightly forever get the plaudits. But I'm not sure we extend the same courtesy to this current Liverpool midfield. And we most certainly should. Because without them, without Endo, without Jones, without Szoboszlai, without McAllister, and without Gravenberch, Liverpool do not win the league. At the beginning of the season, not many people said Liverpool would win the league. And the reason was because we didn't think the midfield was up to it. We're not that surprised that Salah is doing what he's doing, maybe to the level, but he always is brilliant. We know that Virgil van Dijk is one of the best defenders in the world. We know that Trent Alexander-Arnold has the vision and the ability to play a pass that other mere mortal footballers cannot even see. But we still didn't think they would win the league because we felt like the midfield was slightly frail. But it isn't, and they deserve nothing but credit. Liverpool have won the league. I believe they will win the League Cup, and I also believe that they will win the Champions League. And the reason is this midfield. Liverpool fans were singing about this about 2 decades ago. They were wrong then, but history has been very kind to them because they are right now. This midfield genuinely is the best midfield in the world. So there we have it. They're my thoughts on this Liverpool midfield. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like, please click subscribe, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say. In a bit.
次は解説です。今回の動画は少し長めでもありましたが、解説したいボキャブラリーもかなり多くありました。時間の問題上、かなり厳選してしまっていますが、便利なものも、難しいボキャブラリーも多くありますので、本日の解説をチェックしてみましょ
う。The joy, the unbridled release of emotion.
アンブライドルドは抑制されていない、制御不能なという意味の形容詞です。特に、感情、欲望、エネルギーが爆発するような状態を表すときに使われ、例えば、抑えきれない熱意や制御不能な情熱のように使われます。この単語の語源は、馬の靴輪であるブレドルを外した状態を意味し、何かを抑える手綱がない、つまり自由すぎてコントロールできないニュアンスを持っています。感情や行動が制約なく表現されている場面でよく使われる単語です。
The joy, the unbridled release of emotion. The joy, the unbridled release of emotion. It is a stadium that has contributed to a kaleidoscope of emotions.
カライドスコープは万華鏡という意味の名詞ですが、比喩的に次々と変化するものや多様な要素が混ざり合う様子を表すときによく使われます。例えば、目まぐるしく変化する感情や様々な文化が融合する様子のように、多彩で絶えず変化するものを表現するのに適しています。ニュースや文学、旅行記事などで見かけることが多く、視覚的にも鮮やかで印象的な表現として使われます。日常会話ではあまり使われませんが、詩的な表現やドラマティックなスピーチでよく登場します。
It is a stadium that has contributed to a kaleidoscope of emotions. It is a stadium that has contributed to a kaleidoscope of emotions. It would bounce in unison.
インユニゾンは一斉に、同時に、調和してという意味の表現で、複数の人が同じ動作をする状況を表します。会社全体が一致団結して行動したというように、意見や考えがまとまっているという意味でも使われ、特に音楽、スポーツ、軍隊、チームワークなどの文脈でよく使われます。日常会話でも、声を揃えて話すというように、身近な場面で使うことができます。
It would bounce in unison. It would bounce in unison. That midfield is the genesis.
ジェネシスは、起源、誕生を意味する名詞で、何かが生まれる瞬間や、最初の段階を説明するときに使われます。例えば、アイデアの誕生や、運動の始まりのように、歴史、ビジネス、科学、芸術などの文脈で幅広く使われ、創世記という意味で、聖書の最初の書を指すこともあります。ビジネスや歴史の話題で登場することが多い単語なので、フォーマルな場面で使える語彙として覚えておくと便利です。
That midfield is the genesis. That midfield is the genesis. Liverpool have goals galore.
ガロアは、たくさんの、豊富なという意味ですが、特徴的なのは名詞の後ろに置かれることです。この単語はカジュアルな表現であり、特に、物が大量にある、溢れるほどあるというニュアンスを出すときに便利です。例えば、スポーツの試合で、大量得点のように使われたり、ショッピングの広告で、割引がたくさんと表現されることもあります。会話や日常会話でよく使われるので、フレーズごと覚えると便利です。
Liverpool have goals galore. Liverpool have goals galore. And cast your minds back.
キャストワンズマインドバックは、過去の出来事を思い出す。回想するという意味の表現です。会話やスピーチで、昔の出来事に話題を戻すときによく使われ、特定の時間を振り返る場面で使われます。リメンバーと似ていますが、意識的に過去の出来事を思い出すというニュアンスが強く、特に、スポーツの試合や歴史的な出来事を振り返る際によく使われるフレーズです。
And cast your minds back. And cast your minds back that they did not want to spend their entire transfer kitty on one player.
キティは共同資金、プールされたお金、子猫という意味の名詞です。共同資金という意味になった起源は明確ではないですが、道具という意味のキットにお金を入れるイメージから、キティがみんなのお金を入れる場所という意味になったようです。サッカーの移籍市場では、トランスファーキティで移籍資金という意味で使われることがあります。さらに、キティは子猫という意味でも使われ、ペットに関する会話でよく登場し、使われる文脈によって意味が異なるので、状況に応じて理解することが大切です。
That they did not want to spend their entire transfer kitty on one player. They did not want to spend their entire transfer kitty on one player. And Mason Mount slipped through their grasp.
スリップとスルーワンズグラスプは手からすり抜ける、取り逃がすという意味のイディオムです。特にあと少しで成功しそうだったのに失敗したというニュアンスが強く、スポーツ、ビジネス、個人的なチャンスの喪失など様々な場面で使えます。
And Mason Mount slipped through their grasp. And Mason Mount slipped through their grasp. To be the very definition of life comes at you quick, hasn't it?
Life comes at you fast は、もともとアメリカの保険会社の広告スローガンとして使われたフレーズです。その後、ネットスラングとして、ファストの代わりにクイックを使うバージョンも広まり、どちらも、人生は予測不能で、すぐに変わるという意味で使われるようになりました。ファストの方が元の広告の影響が強く、少しフォーマルに聞こえることもありますが、日常会話では、クイックの方がカジュアルに使われることが多いです。スポーツ、ビジネス、人生の逆転劇を表す場面でよく使われるので、両方覚えておくと便利です。
To be the very definition of life comes at you quick, hasn't it? To be the very definition of life comes at you quick, hasn't it? Chelsea pulled the wool over Liverpool's eyes.
プルザウールオーバーワンズアイズは、人を騙す、目をくらませるという意味のイディオムです。もともとは18世紀の裁判官のカツラが目を覆う様子から生まれた表現で、真実を見えなくするイコール、人を騙すという意味になりました。特に、詐欺、政治、ビジネスの話題で使われることが多く、会社が投資家を騙す場合や、政治家が国民を欺くといった文脈でも使えます。日常会話では、小さな嘘から大きな詐欺まで幅広く使える便利な表現です。
Chelsea pulled the wool over Liverpool's eyes. Chelsea pulled the wool over Liverpool's eyes. But they have done it for a pittance in the current market.
ピタツスは、ごくわずかな金額。とても少ない報酬という意味の名詞で、特に労働の対価として支払われるお金が非常に少ない場合に使われることが多いです。歴史的には、修道士がわずかな施しを受け取ることを指していましたが、現代では一般的に十分でないお金という意味で使われます。日常会話やビジネス英語でも使われる単語なので、覚えておくと役立ちます。
But they have done it for a pittance in the current market. But they have done it for a pittance in the current market. Now this could actually be the jewel in the crown.
ジュエル・イン・ザ・クラウンは、最も価値があるもの。最高の成果。組織の誇りという意味のイディオムです。例えば、企業の中で最も成功したプロジェクトや、国の観光地の中で最も有名な場所を指すときに使われます。王冠を意味するザクラウンが象徴するのは全体の中の最高の位置であり、ジュエルである宝石は、その中でも最も輝く存在を指します。スポーツでは、リーグ優勝やキャリアのハイライトを表す際にも使われます。
Now this could actually be the jewel in the crown. Now this could actually be the jewel in the crown. Let's go and splurge the money.
スプラージは贅沢にお金を使う。散財するという意味の単語で、高価なものや贅沢な経験のためにお金を使う場面で使われます。日常英会話やショッピングの場面でよく使われるカジュアルな表現なので、ネイティブの会話でも頻繁に登場します。ただし、計画的に使うよりも、少し衝動的にお金を使うニュアンスがあるので注意しましょ
う。Let's go and splurge the money. Let's go and splurge the money. Has been rejuvenating for him.
リジューバネートは若返らせる、活性化する、元気を取り戻すという意味の動詞です。例えば、肌を若返らせるや経済を活性化するのように使われ、人のエネルギーを回復させるだけでなく、企業、都市、経済などを活性化させるという意味でも使われます。似た単語に再活性化するという意味のリバイタライズがありますが、リジューバネートは特に若さや新鮮さを取り戻すというニュアンスが強いです。ビジネス、健康、ライフスタイルなどの幅広い分野で使われる便利な単語です。
Has been rejuvenating for him. Has been rejuvenating for him. Quite often in sudden hectic bursts.
ヘクティックはとても忙しい、慌ただしい、バタバタしたという意味の形容詞で、例えば、慌ただしい一日や詰まったスケジュールを表現する場合に使われます。特に仕事や学校、旅行などでスケジュールが詰まっている時によく使われ、エネルギッシュで活気がある状況を指すこともあります。日常英会話で非常によく使われる表現です。
Quite often in sudden hectic bursts. Quite often in sudden hectic bursts. Fabinho, the Hoover, the lighthouse. He gets in any, right?
フーバーは掃除機。 掃除機をかけるという意味のイギリス英語で、比喩的に何かを勢いよく吸い込む、取り込むという意味でも使われます。フーバーはもともとアメリカの掃除機メーカーの名前で、イギリスでは掃除機イコールフーバーとして一般名詞化しました。イギリスでは日常的に使われる表現なので、イギリス英語を学ぶ人には必須の単語です。
Fabinho, the Hoover, the lighthouse. He gets in any, right? Fabinho, the Hoover, the lighthouse. He gets in any, right? But I wonder if we are being slightly sneery.
スニアリーはバカにした、嘲笑的な、見下したようなという意味の形容詞で、例えばバカにした笑みや見下すような発言というような場合に使われます。会話や文学作品で登場することが多く、特に傲慢な態度を表現する際によく使われる単語です。皮肉や批判のニュアンスを持つ表現なので、相手を見下したり、批判的な態度を表す場面で使われます。
But I wonder if we are being slightly sneery. But I wonder if we are being slightly sneery that other mere mortal footballers cannot even see.
モータルは死すべき、寿命があるという意味の形容詞で、特に人間はいつか死ぬ運命にあるという概念を表すときによく使われます。また、致命傷のように命に関わる、致命的なという意味でも使われたり、宿敵のように決定的な生死を分けるような強い対立を表すこともあります。特に神話、哲学、文学の文脈でよく使われる単語ですが、日常会話でも登場することがあります。
That other mere mortal footballers cannot even see. That other mere mortal footballers cannot even see. Because we felt like the midfield was slightly frail.
フレールはか弱い、脆い、壊れやすいという意味の形容詞で、例えば虚弱な老人や脆い建造物のように使われ、特に高齢者や病気の人が体力的に弱いことを表す際によく使われたり、精神的、道徳的な弱さを指すこともあります。壊れやすいという意味のフラジャイルと似ていますが、フレイルは人間や生物の弱さに使われることが多いので、違いを意識すると使いやすくなります。
Because we felt like the midfield was slightly frail. Because we felt like the midfield was slightly frail.
いかがでしたか？リバプールが優勝した理由という内容の動画は、もしかすると世界でも最速かもしれませんが、サラーやファンダイクは言わずもがな、中盤の活躍がその大きな理由の一つであるのも間違いないでしょうし、残念ながら遠藤航はスターターのポジションではないものの、遠藤航もその役割の大きな部分を担っていたとも言えることだけでも、応援している立場として誇らしい気持ちです。もうリバプールが優勝したような雰囲気になっていますが、同時にチャンピオンズリーグにも大きな期待がかかっていますので、プレミアリーグ、チャンピオンズリーグ、カラバオカップのトレブルが達成できることを期待しながら楽しみたいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。